Now broadcasting from the Next Gen Conservative Studio in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report with Sam Whitfield.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Whitfield Report. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, joined here by my guest tonight, GeniusAnus, and I love that handle that you have there, and that is precisely why the title of tonight's stream is "If Assholes Could Talk," because we literally have a talking asshole, it would seem. So first off, welcome to the program, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm really glad to finally be on the Whitfield Report, even though I only recently became a fan of yours. I was DMing Vicious whenever you followed me on Twitter. I was like, oh my God, Sam Whitfield followed me.
Like, I'm not. Wow, I'm honored that you're honored. Yeah, I guess I've been put into the category of I guess I'm a Vickers. I guess I'm whatever his equivalent of a gun guard is now.
Well, you'll be happy to know that we have meetings down by the dock every Wednesday night with stale donuts and coffee.
Which is weird because like I only had him on my show one time, and I like him, and I admit he probably did make a few mistakes with Faith, maybe early on.
And
what parent
and nobody gives him a harder time about that than he does. Like, I've talked to the guy in private a lot. Like, he's aware of that, and he kind of gives himself shit about that.
Oh yeah, speaking of Vickers, Vickers is actually in chat. Hail, Mr. Vickers, if you want to jump in to the call, just let me know, and I'll send you a link to the Melon app thing. But anyway, so I actually heard your episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Vicious a few weeks ago, and I'm like, I really like this guy. So first off, I guess, how would you describe yourself? You're a Gonzo journalist, so are you doing like a Paul F. Tompkins type thing, or how does that work?
Well, with the Gonzo journalism, obviously, I'm getting that from like Hunter S. Thompson and Fear and Loathing. But especially for kind of this web handle, my goal with this web handle was always just to kind of roam around the dark corners of the alt-right internet and all these podcasters and stuff. And I call myself an independent Gonzo journalist. And I guess based on what I've done in the past couple of years, I am, to a technical level, a journalist because I report shit to the public and everything. But as my name and avatar would imply, I'm also a very tongue-in-cheek type of guy.
I mean, you're literally talking, anus, which is, I love it. Like the juvenile side of me just thinks it's hilarious.
Like my web handle is meant to be taken literally. I am literally a smartass.
Well, yeah. At least you can admit it, though. I mean, so many of these, personalities out there. I mean, they like to pretend that they're like, they either like to pretend they're humble or they like to pretend they're geniuses when they're actually not. In the case of,
I don't know if you can notice this on my avatar. If you look on the gray band of the top hat, there's actually the Mensa symbol. Like, that's how seriously I take this.
oh yeah, there is. So I guess, what do you make of this whole thing with Ethan Ralph getting beat up in Portugal again? Let's just jump in there.
I mean, despite what the gun guards have been trying to make out on Twitter here lately, I don't actually condone the violence against Gunt. But if ever there was a punchable face and I just could not give a shit about it getting punched, it's probably Ralph.
I would agree. I honestly, when I saw that, because I didn't watch the stream that Cog did, so I heard about it after the fact. But like when I heard what happened, I'm like, wait. I'm like, yeah, I know that he was in Portugal. That was like back at the beginning, and then I think it was Apex was like, no, he went back there again. Which, I mean, maybe I'm mishearing things, but like from my understanding, he had to go back because of a court day. I guess for the first time.
I don't know, and I haven't really heard anything from that. There's been a lot of speculation, and that speculation has ranged everywhere from he had to go back to get more underage prostitutes all the way up to I've heard the thing about maybe a court date or something legally about the first time he got jumped. But honestly, I think it's just Ralph being Ralph. He's just, a lot of people have pointed out too, in Portugal, all drugs are decriminalized, and with his suspended sentence and everything, which I don't quite put a lot of faith in because it wasn't but like 2 or 3 weeks ago before this that he was streaming himself rolling a joint in his truck and then taking his new infant for a drive. So I don't know. I don't give him any credit on intelligence to be like, if I go to where it's decriminalized, I can do my drugs and nobody can do anything about it.
No, I mean, so there are people that I know, like, that admittedly they're completely normies, but they tend to kind of err on the side of, well, Ethan Ralph's thing must be this whole thing must be a bit, right? And I've always said that in regards to Ethan Ralph and in regards to a lot of these other people, it may have started out as a bit, but it has quickly morphed into real life.
No, even Ralph tries to portray it as a bit because he's like, I'm a heel, I'm the antagonist. And the thing about being a heel, which is a wrestling term,
Right.
is the heels are only pretending to be pieces of shit. Ralph is a certified piece of shit.
Oh, clearly. I mean, I think, I have to wonder though, like, like I know that he is a certified piece of shit, but I also feel like he tends to amp up his, I guess
he's very theatrical about it, and I guess that's kind of his defense mechanism. As I've kind of studied his history online, is he thinks that if he just owns it really loudly, that makes it okay.
Which, I mean, it just makes him look worse, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you had much dealings in the real world with white trash, but normally the louder they are, the more you fucking hate them.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had to deal with white trash too much, but I mean, I do live in Florida, so it does kind of.
Oh, Florida man.
I mean, I live in like not like a super ritzy part of Florida. Like I live in a relatively nice, but like every once in a while, like even in the nice parts, like you run into people and you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely like Florida man southern trash. And yeah, he definitely kind of fits that
He
description.
definitely does.
They also he also I mean, I have a friend who I just recently graduated college. I have a friend who's like a year behind me, and she's a psychology major. And I actually told her, I'm like, hey, if you ever want to write a paper on like someone who's completely like certifiably like has mental illness and whatnot, I'm like, there's this guy Ethan Ralph who you just need to search him on YouTube or something, and you can basically like do a whole dissertation on him for some sort of mental illness. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know quite what he would suffer from, but I imagine there's a whole litany of stuff that he.
I'm not
has.
entirely certain what all he could be like clinically diagnosed with, but definitely some form of personality disorder like BPD or histrionic. I mean, kind of the thing with Ralph is that he is very clearly mentally disabled and he has a mental deficit of some nature, which normally would make you kind of feel sorry for him, but you just can't feel sorry for him because he's also his own worst enemy.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess see, I'm relatively new to this whole side of the internet, so I got caught up in it because I used to follow Owen Benjamin, who doesn't even stream anymore. And now let me also preface that by saying I followed Owen back when he was still like on Rogan and whatnot. And he hadn't quite jumped the ship.
You're like, let me back that up. See, I no longer suck dick, but back then it was more acceptable to follow Owen Benjamin.
Yeah, when he went crazy, that was like my first kind of foray into this whole side of the internet. And then I've kind of become famous for I'm the guy who caused Merch to spiral into the whole I was nice to you thing. And he's another one. I actually call Merch Gunt Jr. because I mean he and Ralph are more or less the same. They're both short, they're both fat, they both taller, and one's just southern and one's like a washed up New Yorker. So
Saying up until Porcelain's documentary, I didn't actually know a whole lot of Merch. Like I'd kind of cross over here and there with some of the Revenge of the Cis people and everything. It's kind of like Dick Masterson until he became heavily involved with Ethan Ralph. I didn't know a whole lot about him. Now, since then, I've become very acquainted with a bunch of dickheads, and man, that fan base is aptly named.
So I have to admit, I actually don't know a whole lot about like Dick Masterson. I remember that he was. All I know of him is that he was like friends with Gavin McGinnis at one point. And then something happened. But was he like one of those guys that like used to do radio and then got like washed up, like fired from a radio station or?
I don't know that he did radio. He's kind of like a IRL troll, kind of in the vein of like a Sam Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like he probably wanted to be Sam Hyde. It's just he's not very good at it. Like he takes himself way too seriously to be able to go full Sam Hyde, because like Sam Hyde and Mr. Medicare are one and the same in the sense that they get it, so they never take themselves so seriously that they become. But it's kind of like people laugh at them and with them, but not at them. They laugh at what they're doing, right? And Sam Hyde and Mr. Medicare seem to have this magic formula where they don't take themselves so seriously that they're above laughing at themselves, and just they don't see themselves as high and mighty. As a matter of fact, from my experience with both of them, is they really hate it when people try to put them on a pedestal. Well, people like Mersh and Dick Masterson are these people that and Ralph are these people that have that ego, and they can't do that. They literally see themselves as God's gift to mankind.
Yeah, I mean, it's the other interesting thing too about this whole side of the internet is, so I was never really into the internet drama thing. I was always more into like, I still like to think that I do somewhat of a serious political show some of the time, but the one thing I've noticed is within the last few years, a lot of these quote unquote political pundits become locales and kind of drift into this, side of the internet. Anyway, case in point, Nick Fuentes, who I guess I didn't even know that this was a thing. I guess he's gone from like he's gone from like, you know, cat boys and duck to just like straight up looking at tranny porn, from what I understand, or
Seems
I
that
I,
way.
I don't. Yeah,
To be
but
fair, I think he was always looking at the tranny porn.
yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing. Anyone who is that, you know, like physically repulsed by women, it gets crazy. And
I
hey,
mean,
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, in my experience, speaking specifically about how these political right people end up being lolcows, in my specific experience, fringe left-leaning political people end up being terrorists, and then fringe right people end up either being feds or lolcows. And there's
Yeah.
almost no gray area in that at all.
Well, and then the other thing I've noticed too is like a lot of these left wing a lot of these left wing people, they end up grifting on the right, and then they become locals. And that, from what I understand, that is kind of what happened with Ethan.
Yeah,
So
because Ethan was originally left-leaning on his politics.
yeah, no, he didn't vote for. He only voted for Trump because of the clout, or
Yeah, at that point, he was really trying to grift the right. He voted for Obama both terms. He was very left leaning, especially if you dig, because he's got a internet history that goes back pre Gamergate by about 3 years, I want to say, that's been uncovered, and he was very left leaning. If you talk to a bunch of his older acquaintances, you'll find out that he was very left leaning and everything, like back in the Gamergate stuff, and he has this very long history that people picked up on. They picked up on his MO and his pattern, where he just latches on to whatever he thinks is useful to him, and then he either destroys it or eventually turns on it. He did that with Gamergate. He did that with the anti-SJW stuff. He did that with IBS. Now he's doing it with America First. It's just over and over and over again.
yeah. As soon as I heard that he was joining America First, I'm like, parting was over. Parting was actually glad, because I've, even when other people took Fuentes seriously, I never liked him. I always thought that he was well, let me put it this way. I always knew that he was a narcissist, and, you know, kind of, you know, a little piece of shit. But, you know, it's been proven for the whole world to see that now. And, you know, if Ethan Ralph kind of helped with that, then I I don't want to say I don't want to thank Ralph for that, but I'm kind of like, well, you know, if uh if Ralph helped people see the worst side of Nick inadvertently, then, you know, I guess that is one good thing to come out of the Ralph Hamel, so to speak. So
Well, I mean, and I don't know if I'm going to step on the toes of your audience. I don't know what your general audience is. But with me personally, every time I run across a wignat that's like, oh, I'm going to save the white race or ethno-state or anything along that talking point line, I know that I found an idiot that I could probably get some milk out of.
yeah, no, my audience leans, kind of like conservative libertarianish, but like, like I'm not a Wignat, or anything like that. No one in my audience really is.
Yeah. For
So
the past like 5 years, I've been deeply embedded kind of into the Wignat side of the internet, like the secret discords and shit like that.
yeah,
And it's really enlightening to be in there and then hear the media, oh, the white nationalists are so terrifying. Meanwhile, I'm running through these discords and these secret like Slack groups and stuff, and all the white nationalists are talking about is they're sharing lolicon, and they're talking about we're going to save the white race by being MGTOW, and we have low birth rates, but we're going to be trad and Christ is King bullshit, and it's fucking laughable. Like if
well,
you hear somebody that openly declares himself as a Wignat, chances are they're missing quite a few chromosomes.
part of me also thinks, though, and this is kind of where I put my political hat on. Part of me thinks that the whole Wignat thing is partially due to like media hysterics. Like, I feel like if the mainstream media weren't so like, I mean, I feel like because the media has just focused on it for so long, there have been idiots, and there are always idiots like this who are like, oh well, you know, Wignats are kind of counterculture, so we're going to do whatever the counterculture thing is, even if it makes us look, like a bunch of fucking
Ridiculous. So
retards.
I absolutely agree with you that, and I think that the big problem, especially with the mainstream media, is that they're trying to be the culture and be the counterculture and kind of have your cake and eat it too. But like, there's always the counterculture is always going to be the farthest from whatever's in the mainstream Overton window.
Right.
And I kind of feel like that's why we're so fucked right now, is because the Overton window is like, no offense to you and your disability, but it's like Michael J. Fox during an earthquake trying to fucking hold the Overton window in the fucking center, and it's going all over the fucking map, and everybody's like, oh, fuck, this is a counterculture. No, this is a counterculture, and it's just running back and forth.
Yeah, no offense taken. I do not have I don't I have cerebral palsy. I don't have whatever fuck, now I sound like an asshole because I'm forgetting what Michael J. Fox has, but
he has Parkinson's.
oh yeah, shit. Yeah, no. Yeah, now some left-wing bloggers are gonna be like, Sam Whitfield is an asshole, forgets Parkinson's exists.
I was pretty sure that you would be pretty thick-skinned on it because you're kind of like Ricky Berwick. You're like, oh, so what? I have funny arms.
Oh yeah. I actually just discovered Ricky Berwick Farrell recently because people kept making comparisons, and I'm like, I keep hearing that name, but who the fuck is that? And I'm kind of like, oh, okay. Well, he may be a bit more severe than I am, but hey, at least he fucking owns it, so good on him.
That's what I love about Ricky Berwick. Up until I came across you, he was probably my favorite internet cripple.
well, I guess I'll take that endorsement, as a compliment. So, I mean,
It's meant as a compliment.
there can't be too many of us out there. Although I also was shocked. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. I do kind of find it a bit poetic that I guess Ethan Ralph has a brother with cerebral palsy. From what I understand, and
Are we talking about Ralph's brother?
Yeah.
I don't know that he has cerebral palsy. And again, there's not a whole lot of information on Ralph's brother, which I'm not going to say his name because the main thing, and me and Vickers have been in agreement on this, and we've talked about it publicly. Evan is A, not anything involved with any of this, and B, probably is completely unaware, hopefully is completely unaware of any of it. But I believe his is more of a mental and developmental disability.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's probably one of those people that has like a mental capacity of a very young child, from what I have figured out. And to the internet's credit, we're in a dark sector of the internet, but to the internet's credit, even those damn Kiwi farmers, most people have pretty much left Evan alone. So whenever you hear people say that this side of the internet is so dark, it has no moral or ethical, there's no bound to what they'll do, I think I just said his name. Ralph's brother has mostly been left alone so far as I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, granted, there are some crazies out there, but that's kind of on any side of the internet, so to speak. I mean,
I'll put it this way: if anybody goes after Ralph's brother, me and Vickers will probably lead the charge on nipping that shit out, because that would be horrendously bad optics, and it's just morally and ethically bankrupt.
Yeah, I mean, and look, there are people who, are already like, memeing Ralph's daughter, Rosie, and saying things about her. And I mean, I get that, I mean, I guess Pantsu is fair game because she's an adult, but as far as
Yeah,
like,
Pantsu is open season. I don't mess around with Ralph's daughter. Again, I don't even really
yeah,
say her name. Um, and it should go without saying, but Faith's son is also not fair game as far as I'm concerned, though obviously people do it. And to her credit, she's kind of turned that into like a really good thing, especially with all the, I don't know if you've seen how many birthday presents the Kiwi Farms has pretty much bought that
oh
kid.
well, so that's where I get accused of being a vicar's guard, so to speak, which I guess I'll take that as a compliment then, because uh one of Vicar's A-logs decided to do a whole like 2 entire streams on me because I I had Vickers on, but I had Mr. Vickers on, but I also donated $5 to Faith Vickers, and I bought Xander a present with my own. So
Such a
so I
horrible person. How
I
dare you?
so I'm public enemy number one. Just oh, and he's just doing it to Alog Ralph. Well, if Alog Ralph is one of the benefits, then so be it. But I mean, that kid doesn't have a dad, and so granted, I mean, I guess the community, so to speak, is. I mean,
I
I
think
don't want to say
I
they're
saw
helping to raise him, but support Faith, I guess.
I saw a tweet the other day that it kind of gave me a good feeling where somebody tweeted at Faith that the kid was the internet's baby now. We're all going to raise it.
Yeah, I mean, I affectionately call him my nephew, so which
When I wished him happy birthday, I said I was his GeniusAnus.
yeah, I would say happy birthday from Uncle Sam, which is I get to use that term then. So it's funny. So let's see. Uh, let's see. I'm just checking on chat. Oh, by the way, I see Apex is in chat. Do you want me to send you the
Yeah, Apex was asking you to send a link, and Teddy Spaghetti is wanting you to hit me with harder questions. Just so you know,
okay,
I'm not good at math, so if you really want to stump me, ask me a math question.
you and me both. I barely got I barely got through high school algebra, and yeah, I barely
My
got
abacus is even my abacus is even special needs.
through. Yeah. Well, I guess hitting. I guess a harder hitting question would be, so I mean, out of all these locales you've followed, then who is the most? I mean, who would kind of take the cake as far as that
To what
goes?
extent are we talking funniest, most fun to cover, most fun to
Mo-
mess with, or
mo-
most horrible?
most deranged, I guess.
I wasn't heavily involved. I mostly was following it as a journalistic adventure when the Kiwi Farms were going after the zoo sadists. And I very, like, hats off to the people that actually got at least one of those pieces of shit thrown in prison. But I very quickly kind of checked out of that. But that was very, very early on in that. I was kind of snooping around at what they were doing and trying to figure shit out with that. But I very quickly found that I just didn't have the stomach to go through with it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean there, and I don't know much about the zoo sadist. Kind of sounds like one of those Tiger King type
Oh no,
people.
it is far worse. Do you not know anything about the zoo sadist thing at all?
No, and I'm assuming kind of from your tone of voice that's
Oh
something I
yeah.
don't want to know about?
The very short and most cleaned up I can make it is people that fuck and torture animals.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And there was a bunch of people on the farms that uncovered this giant sex ring. They were also pedophiles, if that adds or subtracts anything from the equation for you. But they uncovered this massive ring of furries and zoo sadists. And there was videos and there were pictures, and it was very, think of how depraved you think that would be, and then multiply that by, it was like soul killing shit.
Well, of course, it's the internet. It always leads back to furries and pedophiles, and
Yeah, it's just like I really like these pedo hunters that will go around and bait pedos and then turn them into the feds and shit. But that's something that I also will not touch because I just don't want to have any type of connection to anything even remotely in that zip code. Like I have no
yeah,
interest in it, but I do respect the people that are actually able to get out there and do that and put those people away.
there are people though it seems that are kind of idiots when doing it because I mean, what this is another thing I've noticed. Like, the right wing, the left has the whole, anyone who disagrees with me is a Nazi thing, right? But then the right has this whole thing of anyone who disagrees with me is a pedophile. And so that can get
Yeah,
exaggerated too.
and especially back in like the Discord stuff, one of the things that these kind of alt-right trolls that roll through Discord and stuff, one of their favorite things to do would be to get into voice chats or into servers and just basically random deathmatch people. Like, oh, you're a pedo, you're a pedo, you're a pedo. And you're right, like they use pedos as interchangeable as the left's version of Nazis.
Yeah.
Though they're not
It's
always wrong, in my experience. They're not always wrong.
yeah, no. Uh Yeah, I mean, Discord itself can be a very strange place. I've noticed. So, and hold on, I'm sending Apex the link right now. So,
But other than that, especially from like a journalistic perspective, the two locals I have under my belt are pretty much Ralph and a guy named Kenny Jones, who is a locale that I got from the Ralph Discord.
I actually I don't know Kenny Jones, but I was once in a Discord where Apex game my co-host was playing he was playing like I guess Discord psychologist. Well, I guess he can kind of describe it here in a bit, but he actually had like a conversation with Kenny Jones, and I almost wish I had recorded it, but
I bet you that
I
was a fucking 12-hour conversation that went nowhere.
I mean, yeah, it was it was pretty damn close.
Though, to Kenny's credit, I found him in Ralph's Fight Club Discord trying to get on the show and trying to set up an IBS with Margaret McLennan, which is who he had his big beef with. And everybody was saying, you've been talking about this for 2 months. You're stupid. You're a volcow. Never making fun of him. And I was one of the few people that's like, all right, what's your story? And I did journalism. I asked him questions. He would give me leads, and I went out and I interviewed other people. And ultimately, what came of that is I found out that Kenny Jones wasn't as crazy as people thought he was. He actually had some pretty valid claims against Margaret. And eventually I got sources that were more normal people and weren't trying to stalk her and hire people on Fiverr to stalk her and go through her trash and shit. And they told me that basically what Kenny was saying about Margaret was essentially true. But eventually, because of other stalkers of Margaret plus Kitty, it made it to where the legitimate complaints about her were completely drowned out because she would just point to Kenny or point to this guy that was sending her a bunch of postcards and say, that's just what the stalkers say. You got to ignore them, which is a very Ralph Amell strategy of getting rid of controversy.
Yeah, well, and the other thing, kind of going back to Ralph too, is there are a lot of people, and I would kind of include myself in this, who didn't really know what they were getting into when they stumbled into this whole corner of the internet. You know,
You got to
I'm not.
learn fast.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would also say though, I mean, I got to witness that with Chrissy, Mayer about a week ago. Now, when she was, first when
When
she
she
was,
got rage pigged.
well, first off, when she was viewing the the tape, the infamous tape, and I know someone that knows her. So I DM'd that person and just forwarded, said, hey, can you, give Chrissy this background? And they I think they did. But then she had on Ralph himself, and I don't think she clearly wasn't expecting
Yeah, and
you know
I feel like she kind of entrapped herself by not doing her due diligence on figuring it out.
Yeah, and that's why I mean, and I've kind of made the same mistake with guests before. Like a few weeks ago, I had this. You have to do due diligence with guests. I've come to kind of find out, because otherwise they might be totally insane. Case in point, I had this guy on who claimed to be a Marine like a few weeks ago, and I and then we got to talking on things, and Apex
How how is
joined,
Spectre Report doing? I'm just kidding, chat. I'm just kidding. I have nothing against Spectre.
and well, no, this guy's name was actually Pope Metallicus, and
Of course it is.
we yeah, so the conversation like started. He's a small YouTuber, and he was trying to like he wanted. I invited him on because he has like a metal channel that we started talking about. So we were talking about his background, and oh, and he mentioned he likes Star Trek, and so I thought, oh, that's interesting. So then Apex came on, and then just started kind of shit talking him, and then
That was fun, man. That was a good show. Go ahead. Sorry.
I would definitely agree. And welcome to the show, Apex. I'm glad your skin is still intact. So
Yeah, man. That fucking coward. You know, one of the things, I actually watched that back, and I hate to derail the conversation, but just to interject this here, I left on purpose because I like putting you in awkward situations, Sammy. You know, I like riling shit up and then just bailing. But I should have stayed for that particular stream, because the one burning thing in my mind was that fucking faggot was like, I'm a Marine, but I left the Marines because of the bullshit. While the fucking douchebag's wearing a Marine hat with the Marine flag in the background. Like, there were so many holes to be poked in that fucking idiot. But yeah, I thought it was funnier at the time to just leave you with the shit that I had started. But
Fun fact,
yeah,
if anybody in the military says they left for all the bullshit, they never made it past basic training.
that's right. That's right.
yeah,
And again, I've never met an actual veteran that walks around, other than like the old timers that were, USS fucking Indianapolis or whatever from World War II, the decrepit old veterans. I do not see many veterans, if any, ever, representing whatever branch of the military they once served, if they're not serving it currently. That most of them either want to forget, or it's not a part of their identity anyway, generally
yeah,
speaking.
and they don't spiral when you say thank you for your service. They'll either just say, thank
There,
thank thank you
there's
back, or they'll just say just doing my job.
there's a
Yeah.
line in Metal Gear Solid that's kind of apt when dealing with former military people, and it's the part where I don't even remember which game which game it was in, but Snake says, "I'm no hero," and that kind of summarizes what most former military, especially combat vets, the way they view themselves are like, "I just did it.
Yeah,
I had my reasons. I went out and did it, and I came back, and I'm no hero. I just did what needed to be done."
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. I actually
Akiba with the lore, Metal Gear Solid 1.
Nice.
no, yeah.
So I heard you guys were discussing lol cows and stuff, and Genius, thank you for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it. And sorry I was late, but I did want to bring up something, Sammy. A not even a new, but just seemingly rediscovered every couple of years, lol cow, who you are quite closely, maybe not super closely, but you are certainly affiliated with, kind of, internet friends with, you could say.
I know where this is going.
Sammy, you remember Falco, right? Falco Punch?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh,
So
boy.
what? So
Oh boy.
so what happened? Because he actually DM'd me on Thursday and was like, "Hey, dude, I'm basically quitting being an at. Good luck to you." And I'm like,
What the fuck, man?
Well, to be fair to Sam, before we get into this, I think me and Sam both failed to do our due diligence on Falco because
So
if we'd have dug just a little bit.
So did I, though.
So real quick, let me preface this by saying that like other than a few new actual news things, I've kind of been kind of taking a break from Twitter the last 2 days. So I've kind of been out of the loop as far as all this. So I came back to it today and I'm like, what? Falco quit? What's going on? So
Well, even if you were paying attention, you could have blinked and missed it, because I have been paying attention, but a lot of it slipped by me.
That's because I can actually kind of tell you why. It's because most of it wasn't happening on Twitter. Most of it was happening on Discord, and I've been front row.
I'm aware of that to a certain degree, which is partially why I wanted to bring it up on this show, because it's recently happened. You were there, and both Sammy and I have had interactions with this guy, and I didn't do my due diligence either, but I have had this burning fucking image in my head from the time he first popped up into my timeline or whatever, making fun of the same people that we make fun of, I distinctly remember a period of time about a year and a half or so ago where 2 or 3 times a week for a solid 4 or 5 weeks in a row, he was changing his profile picture on Twitter and then posting, oh, I changed my profile picture. But it was the same 3 pictures of some dude with long hair with slightly different filters on them. He just literally kept cycling between them to see what got the most interaction.
Yeah.
And then recently complaining about again, just open Twitter posts. What is Kino Casino doing that I'm not? Ugh. What are they doing that I'm not? I'm not making any money. He never sat right with me, but I also never looked into it because I don't really care that much. I'm not that interested in, just like this Nick Fuentes thing. Fake, not fake. It's funny. I don't really care.
Right.
It's kind of where I land on the whole thing. But yeah, Sammy, there's a bunch of stuff going back years. Some of the funniest have been posted to Mr. Molesterson's timeline. But there's this small example of he was doing Let's Plays for a long time, or for a short amount of time.
Sure.
The Let's Plays are great.
Yeah, he would live stream himself playing video games. Except he was taking other people's footage and then playing that. And in one instance, he fell asleep on stream and started snoring while recorded footage of someone else's YouTube channel was playing while he was allegedly doing a Let's Play.
And to be clear, to really show you the picture of this, he wasn't just stealing other people's footage. He was literally using a controller and making it sound like he was playing the game in real time.
Yeah, yeah.
And before we get too far into this, because I feel like a lot of people are probably going to want to know more, I have to shout out to a fellow Discord guy that I've recently met through Falco's Discord named Matt Sand. And he has a show that he does in the morning called Cringing Over Coffee.
Oh
And
yeah.
if you look that up, he has a lot of the deep lore, and he's kind of doing my job of journalism and going and talking to older people that have followed Falco and John Pierce or Johnny Fox or Fox Eye or whatever else he called himself over the years. So if you want the deep lore on that, Matt Sand definitely is where you need to look.
Yeah, Maxian something, the Maxian something. But yeah, no,
If you look up cringing over coffee, you'll find him.
Yeah, it's good. He does a good job. He does a good job. I watched a few of his streams recently, specifically on Falco, because again, it's one of those like anomalies where it was like within my sphere, and I didn't engage with him much. I'm pretty sure I actively avoided the stream that Sam did with him because I didn't want to come on and be a dickhead, because I had, that is post the pictures and the post a bunch of cringy shit that I just didn't comment on directly on Twitter, but put me on a live stream, let me talk, and I will. It's gonna come out, But go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say it is kind of interesting that you bring all that up, because I DM'd him like probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago when he was like, what is Kina Casino doing that that whole shit, and I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. Just do your own thing, and if anything comes, if anything comes of your show, that's it. Like, just do your own thing and grind, and the show will grow. I mean,
that's kind of the tragedy of him too, though, is because that Vickers v. Deadman, as much of a shit show as it was, like that's what you got to do.
That's exactly right.
I told him when he was like going through his quitting phase, and so I was like, dude, you got it. You're doing it. It's good. This is an entertaining stream. What the fuck are you doing?
Well, yeah. And yeah, there's little tantrums where he quits the internet, which he has done again for the umpteenth time.
Or when he pretends to be his non-existent brother and fakes his own suicide.
Fakes his own suicide and shit like that. He's done these things a couple of times. Yeah. And so I guess you never know, right, Sammy?
Yeah, well,
or maybe you do and you just fucking ignore it, which is what I mean. That's part of that's sort of why I engage in the internet the way I do. Sammy, you're a rare example. There's a couple others too. I'm not necessarily here to make friends. I'm also not here to make enemies. You know what I mean? I'm just here. I do like engaging with people and conversing with them, but almost nothing is off limits if it's funny. If it's framed in a
sure,
if it's funny to me, I really don't care. I tend to not, put whatever tiny spotlight I could have onto little shit like, Falco. I could have been making fun of him a long time ago, and I wanted to. Just lightly jabbing it, like, what is that, a fucking 10-year-old picture of you, bro? You took a glamour shots, photo shoot, and you just cycle through them on your social medias now. Shit, just little shit like that. But I don't really, I'm not interested in stirring the shit. I just like to watch it most of the time. Yeah. So you never know. Our Discord, or not our Discord, sorry, but our Reddit friends, Sammy, have said for years that I'm a lolcow in the making. So a lolcalf. So you never know.
Yeah, they've said the same thing about me, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad.
Yeah, laugh the fuck at me. Laugh at me, dude. Yeah, I'm stupid.
Kind of to hit into that vein and loop back to like the Chrissy Meyer and
go ahead.
Rage Big stuff. I'm very thick-skinned, and I realize that there's a lot of people on the internet that really don't fucking like me. So if you get like super chats or whatever that want to bring up shit that you think is combative, don't worry. You don't have to censor the internet for me. I'm well aware.
If people want to super chat me, they can say whatever the fuck.
I was going to say, please do. Please send all your hate comments about GeniusAnus to Sam's Streamlabs or Patreon.
If they're $5 or more, I'll read them myself.
Hell yeah. I'm going to post that on Twitter right now. You guys talk so that.
Yeah. Do you want me? I can send you my Streamlabs link if you want, Apex. So But yeah, so I mean, so is that like the and so are you telling me that the game streams are what caused Falco to like
No, they're not what caused
No,
him to quit. What
no.
caused him to quit is that people were figuring out his past, and he went
Genius.
into DFE mode.
Yeah, Genius. Am I? Oh fuck! I'm sorry. I'm trying to type. And I lost my question. But go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, he was having a stream, and he wasn't getting very many views. I think he had like 12 to 18 views, and then it was a call-in show, so people in his Discord were calling in and kind of haranguing him and everything, and bringing up some old memes of him about like Skippy peanut butter jars. Toilet meth. Toilet meth was
yeah.
fucking hilarious. Um, and he rage quit the stream, and then he had like a meltdown and a tizzy. And then we were still in the voice chat because it was just an open voice chat in his Discord. And he left the voice chat, shut the stream down, and we were all talking, and we were being fairly constructive to him. Again, I made no qualms. Like, I like his streams. I like the content he's making. This was a pretty fun stream from what I was watching and participating in. And he had some friends there that had known him for like a long time. And they were kind of filling me and
Shout out to some of the few
Atomic
people who I
Denny
find
in
tolerable on the
on.
internet. Cheers, boys.
Oh shit! I guess I have to read this. It's $25.
Oh,
Shout out to some of the few people who I find tolerable on the internet. Cheers, boys. Thank you, Vickers. Make sure my check don't bounce.
Thank you, Matthew Vickers. So.
Sam, is it streamlabs.com/the Whitfield Report?
Yes.
God damn it, I'm good.
But anyway, and then he's having a meltdown, and then he's like, oh, well, I'm quitting the internet. And his older friends are like, he does this, he'll be back within 24 hours, I promise. And like later that night, he deleted the Discord. He had some Johnny come lately that was in his Discord sending him private DMs saying that we were talking shit about him and everything. And he had Falco believing that we were just tearing him apart in this voice chat, which wasn't true. And Matt Sand actually recorded our conversation and did an episode of his show where he released the entire audio other than some stuff that had to be censored to protect people that shouldn't have been mentioned in it. And so he basically proved that guy was just lying to Falco. But somebody got a hold of those DMs, and he was basically saying, yeah, Falco, they're talking shit about you. They got all this, they're talking all this bullshit and making shit up and talking about how they're going to run your show. So he nuked his Discord, nuked his Twitter, and then he went to another Twitter that he already had, Jack Pierce, and then he renamed it and rebranded it to Falco Punch 64, which seemed kind of stupid. And then by the next morning, he had already said, I'm going to Twitch. I'm quitting. I'm not doing this or whatever. And then he deleted several times after. It gets like, I was in the Discords where all this stuff was being talked about, but I'm not the best source for like extremely detailed Falco lore because I'm still learning it myself. But it was amazing to watch.
Indeed. And again, it was one of those things where I couldn't really believe. I mean, I could, but it just seems there's so many wrong turns for this fella. You know, like you mentioned, his IBS stream with Vickers and Deadman, I didn't listen to it, but apparently was a fucking shit show. But name me more than, give me off the top of your head, more than 3 IBS streams that weren't absolute fucking shit shows.
Some of the best ones were the best because they were shit shows, like the 12-hour Medicare stream.
Exactly, dude. They were shit shows. That's what people want. You know?
And I told him that. I was like, that's what IBS is, because he was talking about how he doesn't like the conflict. I was like, that's what you signed up for. That's what IBS is.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, well, and I mean that's the other thing too, though, is like Falco, and I mean I'm very much the same way. I'm not that much of a confrontational guy. So when when Falco
That's what I'm here
said
for.
that when
Go ahead, sorry.
shut up, asshole.
Shut up, man. It's fine. Go ahead.
No, that is partially true though. That is
Apex is the wit guard.
Yeah. I'm a wit guard. It's true.
Well, also though, Madison Cawthorn. Now that you're out of Congress, come cripple fight me, bro.
Dude, you and Ricky Berwick should crawl around a fucking boxing, the squared circle together for one of these.
I can almost guarantee you Ricky Berwick would be down for that. Just whatever.
Dude, first, look, just based on crippledom, I mean, he might have some sharper edges than you, Sammy, but...
he definitely does. Have you seen him smile?
Oh, my God. I mean, his knuckles look like razor blades, bro. But... you could actually grab him. I'm not sure he has the pterodactyl like thumb and pinky shit going on.
What Ricky Berwick should do is dress up as a chihuahua and just ride around with you on a wheelchair, just be on your lap, dresses like Mr. Evil or some shit.
Ricky Berwick is I'm afraid he might maul me to death.
No, hold on. You know what would be even funnier? I just thought of is if you put Ricky on one of those like old world royalty things. Like a chariot, but carried by people. You know how like they had like strong dudes underneath it. Oh no, we lost Genius. But instead of people carrying it, it's like a chariot, but pulled by other cripple guys, including you. In their wheelchairs, he's like the king of the cripples in that scenario.
Yeah, that would be funny. Well, Apex. I actually pulled an Apex game tonight, and I actually fell asleep. I fell asleep before the stream, and I almost kind of missed it. So I fell asleep during the okay, Genius is back.
There we go.
I actually fell asleep like towards the end of the Medicare stream tonight, and so I heard Medicare talking beautifully pointing out that Nick is not the pious Catholic that he wants everyone to think he is.
Sure.
Yes. Which, I mean, I guess that's the other thing too, is Nick got his ass kicked by a 16-year-old who I guess,
the collar, the collar that he took. I don't know the background on that.
I'm still trying to figure out what Catholic saint is in charge of cum hunting, honestly.
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry. Say that again.
He's trying to figure out. He's trying to figure out who the patron saint of cum hunters.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming Saint Cummings, but I might be exaggerating a little bit.
Well,
Saint Cummings.
Well, I recently did find out that Saint Nicholas, in addition to being the patron saint of gift giving, is also the patron saint of prostitutes. So
hell yeah, dude.
So they never specified what the gifts being given were.
Exactly.
Right.
You could give a bitch back in the day.
Right. Well, right. Well, now we also know why Santa says ho ho ho. So
you get a hoe, and you get a hoe, and you get a hoe.
You know what they say? Santa's not done until the sack is empty.
And black lights are sure to follow, right? In the Catholic house, anyway.
So, which, by the way, Apex, I do want to commend you. That was a very good episode you had of the good, the bad, and the vicious.
Was it? Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I thought it was good, and I
had a good time. And unlike this show, I'm sorry, much like this show, I was off too early and had too much free time, and I got too drunk before it. but I stopped drinking. Like Mr. Vickers sent me a message like 50 minutes before the show went live, and I'm like, oh shit, I was literally just about to lay the fuck down because I'm drunk. But instead, I walked around the block and then I did a bunch of push-ups, and I drank a bunch of water, and I had a cup of coffee. And I still felt I was still drunk, but yeah, I mean, you know me, I ramble and shit, but it was fun. I did try to play like devil's advocate and kind of press them on. I mean, without being, like the Vickers A-logs, the people that just spam the same bullshit over and over. Like I actually was curious about some of this stuff that I have questions I haven't asked them personally, and I had a chance to do so.
You mean he didn't just flail about and call their daughter a whore over and over again?
Right. No, I definitely didn't. Because A, I don't know her, and B, I wouldn't classify what behavior I've seen as particularly whorish compared to all of the other women I've known in my life. She was a young. She might be mentally ill, but I don't know about a whore.
If Faith Vickers is a whore, then she's very bad at it because she's been with the same person for like the entire first year of Xander's life.
Yeah.
And Ralph has had like 2 rape accusations since then. So. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, and the other thing too, in regards to the whole Faith saga, I've actually kind of I kind of want to hear your guys' perspective on this, because from my perspective, it seems like, I mean, sure, there might be some mental illness stuff there, but I remember that there were girls like in my high school who were going out with older guys that that they probably shouldn't have been, and so I kind of feel like she was just doing the whole teenage girl rebellion thing.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing that's kind of lost, especially on her detractors, is that she has self-admitted, as well as been diagnosed with, as well as her family has corroborated, has some mental issues for sure. But she's also a teenage girl, and that's kind of the thing that kind of falls between the cracks. I've viewed her entire relationship with Ralph. I've had extraordinary access to everything.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, like
Which is crazy to think.
I've seen and heard shit that has only been briefly mentioned as an aside on shit, like the infamous recording that can't be released. Like, I've heard it. I've looked through all of their communications through Twitter DMs and Discord. So, like,
yeah, you were the one. You, for those that don't know, Genius here was the Vickers, like, Vanguard, or like the Sentry, the one out front, releasing a lot of shit early on before the Vickers actually came out. Isn't that true?
I wouldn't call myself a Vanguard. A lot of people want to make me an agent of them, but I'm a journalist. It's just meant a good story.
No, I didn't mean it in that sort of way.
I know, but I have to knock that down. Yeah, I have to knock that down, though.
Okay, my apologies for incorrectly wording it, but I just meant the tip of the spear as far as the information, especially early on, regarding that whole situation. Is that not true? Like, you were the one getting access to information that no one else had early on, right?
Yeah, I think he's on mute real fast. I don't know if he had to take a call or what.
Am I back now?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Sorry, I hit mute and then I thought I unmuted, but it didn't do it. So, but yeah, I was the person that was getting all
the journalist that was exposing a lot of this stuff. I guess that's the way I should have said it, right?
Yeah. And part of the reason why I was able to get that level of access is because I was a journalist, and at the time, I reached out to Vickers. Most of the people interacting with him were sending him like screen caps of the sex tape, and they were taking over his company website and, calling his daughter a whore, which obviously isn't going to earn you too many favors with hardly anybody.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
I basically just reached out to him. I was like, hey, I'm an independent journalist. I'm not like a paid journalist. I'm not a mainstream journalist. It's more of a hobby, but I'm a journalist, and I have some questions about all of this, and that's kind of where it started.
Yeah, well, I mean, so kind of about that. What is it about this beat in particular that, like, out of all the different journalism beats that you could kind of pick, what is that about doing this that kind of motivates you, I guess?
I'm just, I'm inquisitive. I want to know as much information as I possibly can. I'm very curious. Like I've spent so much time in my life reading encyclopedias just for fun, you know. So
autism, right?
Kind of, yeah. Like
Basically, the same for all of us, right?
Yeah, like I'm not the weaponized autism that you find typically in this sphere of the internet, and nothing against them because weaponized autism made my job a lot easier.
Yeah, the sector, right?
Yeah. From the top on down.
From the top on down.
Hell yeah.
But another thing that made me really effective is that I'm a literal who. Like, I'm nobody. I'm busted wallpaper. I didn't have an axe to grind against anybody. I wasn't trying to grift anything. I wasn't clout chasing or seeking fame. I still to this day have never made, to my knowledge, any amount of fame. And I know I haven't made any money off of it. There's been people that have made a lot of money off of my reporting.
Sure.
But, like, I've never made anything. I never asked for anything. So I guess I'm terrible at my job. I probably should, like, in hindsight, I probably should have set up a GoFundMe or some shit.
Yeah, well, I guess the difference is depending on the amount of time and effort it takes you. You know, if you do this shit for fun and you would be doing it anyway, there's no shame in not doing it for free.
Yeah.
But when it crosses over into the realm of, but that's a fine line, dude. You know, you and I for sure
probably crossed it.
Well, no, I mean like fine line between, you know, asking for making money off of the work you do and then falling into essentially a category that you've covered for, you know, X amount of time. You know, you start making money off of this internet shit and egos. It's weird. It's fucking weird because I've watched so many people. I mean, when I get down to the common denominators of their downfalls, it's all like exactly the fucking same.
It's the money.
It becomes an ego thing. Because they make money, they think they're special, which in some cases is true. But, you know, nobody, you know, there becomes a point when people forget that people will pay for entertainment that's negative. Like there's a possibility that your entire audience just likes to laugh at you and doesn't take anything you say seriously, but you still make
and the proof of that is TMZ.
Right. No, exactly. Well, but particularly here on the internet, when it comes to donators and stuff that are like, "Oh, fucking Ralph, you're such a Chad, bro. You're a Ralph Amell fucking fuck that cog. You should take him to court." You know, somebody.
Yeah, people that just want to muckrake to see a shit show.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, you get blinded to. I hate to say it, but never mind. I'm not gonna say it.
Like, I would be lying if I didn't say that the human part of me wasn't at least a little bit envious of the thousands upon thousands of dollars that some people make doing what I did. But at the end of the day, the biggest decision that I made on not taking any money and not seeking money or fame was because I desperately did not want to become that.
Right.
Well, if I kind of may jump in here real quick, I mean,
it's your show, buddy. Go ahead.
Your name's on the marquee, buddy.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know that, but I like to be considerate of, you know, my guests.
No, treat us like whores.
But well, if I was gonna do that, then never mind. I'm not gonna go there. But,
twisting my nipples for you right now, buddy.
Yeah, that's visual. I'm sure none of us need to see. So, no offense, but no. I mean, to your point in the Apex, I kind of witnessed the same exact thing twice actually when I used to, you know, kind of be affiliated in the political sphere. You know, first with Charlie Kirk, and then with Nick Fuentes. I don't. Charlie Kirk initially was just trying to set up like Republican groups on college campuses, and honestly, the real, I guess, the dirty laundry on Charlie Kirk, although it shouldn't be that much of a surprise, is he actually doesn't really like Donald Trump all that much, but he sure was willing to take his money when when the time came.
Well, Judas probably didn't like the Romans, but he sure as fuck took their silver.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nick, I don't know I don't know what happened there, but like I guess when I first started this, I'll admit, because I was young, I kind of was looking for, fame and whatnot, but I saw what it did to others, and I was kind of like, maybe
I would like to believe that if I actually did start taking money or whatever, that I would be more like Nick Rekieta than anybody else. Right? Yeah. I think he's probably a good example of how to not let the money go to your head.
He's a great example, actually.
Yeah. Well, I've kind of compared myself to the Joe Rogan of this sphere, and that I like to interview people and have conversations with people, even if they're unknowns relatively. Falco would be one example for sure. I think we're very similar into that, and I have the gift of the gab where I want to know other people's story, no matter what that story is. Yeah. Now, Apex, you might not know this, but
I know everything, dude.
But Alex,
just kidding.
Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
So our friend Alex from the Versa Discord, who follows this stuff, he sent me a screenshot. Apparently, there's a rumor out there that Vickers, I guess, hired me to do the stream that we did.
You too?
Yeah, that is a common thread, it seems, among the Vicker haters.
Which I find funny because, I mean, did I not initiate the invite? I mean, I know that some people definitely suggested that we have Vickers on, but at no point did he say, please have me on your show, I'll pay for it. At least,
I wish Sammy paid. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm another one. See, I mean,
I don't want to say anything negative until I make sure the check you gave me isn't made out of rubber.
No, the whole thing is that Vickers was paying me to have him on my show.
Which is insane. Why the fuck that's insane. Isn't it?
No. Well, yeah, that is. I invited Vickers on because honestly, I saw a guy who, went through all of this, shit online and had a relatively good attitude about it. And, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have had a good attitude, because I think he took the right approach, but that is so fucking rare these days. And in any circle of the internet, really, but especially this one, that I was kind of fascinated by it, and I wanted to kind of have him on to, just see what makes him tick. And that was literally my motivation for having him on. And
and also the fact that he agreed to come on, right?
Well, yeah.
Well,
yeah, that too.
Yeah, so I excuse me, sorry. I've heard this argument repeatedly, or I've seen it rather, about Vickers and stuff, and that's why I wanted to try and kind of play devil's advocate a little bit when I was there, because I have some of my sphere of internet friends that I've rolled with for a long time are on this anti-Vickers, anti-Ralph, but they're just counter trolling, the ones that I know in a lot of cases. And it's but they also, you know, I mean, I'm not immune from from DMs when I get announced as a guest on his show, and it's like,
Oh,
well,
me
say this,
either.
say this, say that, or ask him this, or why are you that? It's like, what are they paying you? It's like, no, that's why. That's part of the reason I wanted to just do what I do here, Sammy, and just kind of gently ask genuine questions that I have, not really influenced by anybody necessarily, but I don't want to be lumped into any kind of fucking. The only thing I am for sure is a wit guard. That's a coined this evening by Mr. Anus. Because that's literally the whole reason I am here. I've said
Trademark
it.
pending.
Trademark pending. Yeah, it's the whole reason I came on in the first place, Sammy, and why I remain here is because I like you, and I think you deserve some money for what you do. I may not be the best addition to achieve that goal, but you know, it's a noble cause that I tell myself every night before I go to sleep.
Well, I appreciate that I'm the last thing you think of before you go to sleep.
That's right. That's right, buddy.
Every night.
You and those cute
Many
little
a
feet.
tissues get used.
Yeah, you and those cute feet. Oh no tissues. I'm just. It's like sheep jumping over a fence kind of thing. Just imagine Sammy dropping on the ground and crawling out his door via the camera, that angle that we're looking at right now.
Come
And
on, my
him
socks are already stiffing up as is.
and lifting his cute little feet up for the camera.
Apex. Now you've got me blushing, dude. So.
Oh hell yeah, you know.
But
you know.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I forgot what I was gonna say.
No, what I was gonna say is like the whole notion I'm a Vickers guard is kind of. I mean, yeah, there's certainly there. I will admit the guy has probably made some mistakes in regards to could he have been more attentive to Faith as a teenager, and watching
Maybe,
what.
but see, hold on. I don't mean to cut you off, Sammy, but I don't want you treading too deep here because how the fuck does anybody observing this know? Actually,
Well,
I mean, everyone can speculate.
Well,
but
that's
Go
my
ahead.
point. That's my point, is that none of us really know. And I mean, could Vickers have been watching what she did online? Maybe, but maybe was. Again, like I said earlier, I think people are losing the fact that Faith
Well, I
was
can kind of add to that too, in the fact that I've heard Vickers opine on these exact questions, like in private, and I've kind of talked to him. I've asked these questions of him, and that's what I'm saying. People think that, oh, these are gotcha questions, but there's nobody more fervently asking these questions of Vickers than Vickers himself.
Right. Well,
Right.
I guess just kind of what I don't know. I don't really say it frustrates me, but I guess kind of the thing that kind of I find funny is the fact that I'm friendly towards Vickers and that I'm not a complete asshole to him makes me.
Well, I mean, I'm
makes me
obviously friendly to Mr. Vickers, Mrs. Vickers, and Faith, and all of that, but I have kind of a fairly unique position in the fact that I have seen literally everything. So
Right.
if I've seen literally everything there is to see about all of this, and I'm still in their corner, that should tell you something.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I don't know you, and you're right. You haven't made any money and all that shit. But I could see how people could still find ways to poke holes in that a declaration that you just made, which is, I mean, you're right to make, and I absolutely agree with your declaration. But again, that's why, going kind of back a little bit, that's why I was trying to ask slightly pointed questions without being too derisive or combative, Specifically things like, do you guys think your lives would be better if you just logged off and left for the shit in the past? Because that's a genuine question that I have had. And their response, or their answer, both of their answers, collectively and individually, lined up with, it makes perfect sense to me. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was on live stream. And that's why I wanted to do it, because I've seen so much of this shit. And I tried to be, I guess a journalistic voice of some sort. Ask them pointed questions and get answers that are satisfying for the audience. I guess. I don't really know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've asked Vickers the same question kind of in DMs that you.
Well, right, but that's in DMs, and that's for you. And
right.
I am also sick of all the bullshit. There's plenty of things to laugh at. And if you want to look, Tiny Bird Productions is one of my oldest internet friends, and he's really good at what he does. And he's on the opposite end of a lot of the people that are in this, the sector, the sector, I should say. He appears to be a gunt guard. He's been accused of being Ralph himself for quite some time. But he's just better at what I like to do than I am, because he has no shame. He's willing to go all the fucking way out there, and just, I can't commit that hard. I cannot LARP that hard. I have a, anyway.
I don't know that I have encountered Tiny Bird yet.
No?
I don't think I have. I muted 2 people today that I got tired of my notifications, having like 6 and 7 notifications from the same person trying to get me with a gotcha that I've already answered like 30 times.
Yeah. I think I might know who one of those people are, Anus, but I don't want to say who it is, because I don't want my notifications to blow up now. But if it's the person that I think it is, also, the one thing I did hear about, like, Falco rage quitting is that, like, somehow I had something to do with it, which is weird, because
Sammy, you cripples always got to make it about you, don't you?
Listen. We are attention seekers, so
yeah.
Well, I mean, he did say, as he was deleting everything, that the final straw was you stealing his handicap spot.
Look, he weighs 495 pounds, bro. He deserves that fucking handicap spot.
It hurts to walk, Sammy. You've already got wheels.
Yeah. Oh, not only does Sammy have wheels, I don't know if you know this, Genius, but Sammy is of a long line, Assassin's Creed style, of crippled people going back to, like, pre-Roman times. You know those fancy chariot wheel blades that you'd see in like
oh, he's got knee knockers.
He's got knee knockers. He's got caltrops. He's got flamethrowers. I honestly don't know the extent of.
I must start calling him crippled Batman.
No, hold on, because I call it the rape chair, because its primary function is hydraulically driven to capture and rape people, both men and women alike. It's non-sexist, mostly hot women, redheads, throughout time. I cannot say for sure whether or not Sammy himself has engaged in this activity, but my research shows that his ancestors absolutely did. You can trace it back for 2,500 years, I'm pretty sure. Wait, yeah, 2,500 years.
Any redheads in the audience, if you're ever needing a ride around the parking lot, this guy has front door parking, and he can ride you all the way up to the store.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, there is the hero's struggle, because the likelihood of a hot redhead being his, like, extended great granddaughter is pretty high, because all of his ancestors were primarily pointing their rape chairs towards the hot redheads. So they just had more hot redheads. Now, redheads are an anomaly, of course, so he can't account for all of them, but the percentage is high. my friend. So poor Sammy is in a predicament, and I empathize with him all the time in DMs and in private chats. He tells me these things, and I'm sorry to bring it out in public like this all the time, Sammy. Nobody's ever going to believe it anyway, but
It's okay. There's other stuff of mine that's out there.
And Sammy's rapidly tapping on his keys, changing the title of the stream with friends like these.
Oh, there was that one. I think it was a private Discord, but the Slammy Dickfield thing really got me, where the function of the hydraulics were actually to roll Sammy around in a field of dildo-shaped headstones, and would just slam him down on top of them, just periodically throughout the day. For what I can't remember all the context, but that's the gist of it, and it was very funny to me.
Anyway. that was actually in your Discord. Shout out to Whiskey for making that.
No, that's my Discord, fool. I've made that Discord.
No,
and Whiskey making that reference, the Slammy Dickfield, yeah.
Yeah.
Slammy Dickfield.
Hey, look, he said the words, and I painted the picture, and it was very funny.
We have Slammy Dickfield. We also have the Titfield report. So.
Wait, what was the other one? That I said a few weeks ago that you switched, or you had a. Fuck, what was it? You jokingly referred to the show, or starting a new segment. What the fuck? Not the Titfield report has been around as long as my Discord has, which is like a while.
3 years.
Yeah, about 3 years now. But damn it. Nah, I needed to quit doing drugs.
The Crypt Field?
No, it was it had something to do with reporting and on. Oh fuck! I'm very upset that I can't remember, because it was good, and I said it on stream, and you were like, "Oh, that's good," and you even posted an episode of it, like on your.
You're gonna lay down to go to sleep tonight, and it's gonna come to you.
Twat!
The Twatfield report. Was it? The Whitfield after.
The Whitfield report at night or something like that.
After Twat?
The Whitfield analysis at night.
That's right. The Whitfield, I can't remember what the fucking letters stand for, but that's it. It was Twat, the Twat show. Whitfield Afterthought. That's it. You're right. Whitfield Afterthought.
Yeah.
Instead of the after show. Welcome to the Twat, folks. Tonight, we're talking about butterscotch ice cream. It's good, but the aftertaste, I'm telling you, I don't know.
Leave it to Twat to leave a bad aftertaste.
So I'll tell you what else is. So I have to admit, so when Falco was, I guess when he rage quit the internet, I was actually like on a binge of playing Red Dead Redemption, and I kept there's a field of wild hogs that you can hunt, and so every time I was hunting them. Yep, that's exactly what I did. So
hey, bro, is your PlayStation near you, or you're in your study, right? Or you're not in your room?
Yeah, no, it's in the living room.
God damn it! Because I think the audience would very much like to see you push all of the buttons on a PlayStation controller, like individually, with those claws of yours. I'm just kidding.
I can bring a controller in here one of these nights. I have two of them.
You should record like a short, like a YouTube short of like, I'm not as bad as Ricky Berwick. Look, all my fingers, I can push all the buttons on this controller here. And then at Ricky Berwick, and see if he can do it, and then he'll
I've-
probably post something really funny. In
I've
response.
actually thought of doing like a gaming, about doing like a
Sammy-
gaming streaming
I
type
was saying,
thing, where like instead of me being like a hot chick like gaming, I'll just be like me as a cripple like gaming.
A cripple boy, dude. I legitimately think that's a good idea.
While y'all are throwing the spaghetti against the wall, I'm going to take a Mr. Vickers break real quick.
Go for it. I already took one. I just didn't say it out loud.
I just wanted y'all to be aware when the water starts hitting the water.
Well, I'm pretty sure that I've peed on other people's stream before.
I have done terrible things on this stream, so I guess I shouldn't say terrible, but I've done just despicable things.
Bro, you've had sex. You've had sex on the stream.
Don't tell them, dude. Don't tell them. I actually had a thought earlier, Sammy. Just thinking about all this lolcow shit, and which of course I've considered before, but I realized the extent of the years I've been doing this show with you. Once a week, almost always drunk, especially recently. At first, I kind of tried. Actually, no, that's not true. The most drunk I think I ever was some of those early shows, because that was early COVID. That's when I was throwing my phone around in the air. Remember when Scorpio was throwing my phone? Yeah.
Vickers is still in the chat. You know, Vickers, it's not a stream with you. It's more like Morse code. It comes in dashes and dots.
Hi, Mr. Vickers.
Oh yeah, that stream that we did where you were throwing your phone around.
God.
You actually called yourself. You were like saying, "I am your retard."
Yeah. I think that's the most drunk I've ever been. Most drunk I've ever been recorded, for sure. It's a good thing I didn't have like a computer set up with a camera or anything, because I was just on my cell phone.
I actually have that clipped, and I will
play it for the audience. Yeah.
I will play that. Well, I'll play that I'll post it every once in a while on Twitter. I posted it so much that for a while you were actually like, "Sammy, stop it." So
Did I? I don't think I've ever done that. Maybe I did.
Maybe, but well, let me.
Dude,
If I do anything retarded on this stream, I can't blame the booze. I'm stone cold sober. But when I was on Good, Bad, and Vicious, I was like sipping on 18-year Glenlivet single malt. So,
ooh, fancy boy.
I'm just,
one bottle a year, buddy.
I love it. That's good shit.
I'm just drinking Budweiser regular. Although I do have Stella Artois in the fridge. So
holy shit, I'm drinking Budweiser too, and I never drink Budweiser.
I've got the Glenlivet 18-year single malt, and then I've got Johnny Walker Black. So I can go with the Winston Churchill or the shit that doesn't make me want to kill myself.
That's probably a good point. That's probably a good idea. So.
Oh wait, no, you know what? I'm having a flood of memories. I think I recall early on, my aversion to you posting that clip all the time was because I was doing the lolcow thing, I suppose, which is, I guess, why they call me a lolcalf over there on Reddit. But I was upset because there was some drunk ass context to it, and all you clipped was "I'm your fucking retard, Sammy. I am your retard." Okay, but I was like making like some greater point of, like, which was of course lost to anybody with a fucking more than 5 goddamn brain cells.
Well,
but
well, you also said something racist about taking back the Alamo from the.
oh no, that's one of my favorite stories. It's even to this day, that's one of my favorite fucking stories. And I only told this story because Scorpio was on, who is a Mexican, living in South Texas. And I was like, hey, when I was growing up in South Texas, where I was born and raised, there were a lot of fucking Mexicans, and there was a bunch of older kids that would beat up, gang up on younger kids, especially fucking little white boys, little skinny white boys like me. And the short of it is, I I told this group of fucking shitheads to remember the Alamo before I got in a fight with 4 of them and they beat me up. But I was proud of that joke because just like the Alamo, I mean, it was one of me and 4 of them, and I hurt a couple of them. You may win the Alamo, but you motherfuckers are going to remember it. There was a couple white boys in there. You had a whole fucking army. And our Hispanic Redditor, who's also a journalist, much like you, self-proclaimed. Don't even say it, Sammy.
Yeah,
don't even say he is. He is.
Well, I mean, I guess he is.
Look, because he says so, he is.
Well,
it's his
kind of the reason I'm able to get away personally with myself calling myself a journalist is from, I don't know if you're familiar with We Are Change with Luke Burkowski or whatever. He's a Tim Pool affiliated kind of guy.
Yeah. I
Wait,
know.
You don't mean Reddit?
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
But he was on a stream one time and he was talking about how he got started, and basically he went to the library and just printed press pass on a piece of paper and put it in a lanyard, and that's how he got started as a journalism, because he was talking about how anybody could do this. So that's kind of what I think of when people are like, you're not an actual journalist. So it's like, but I printed off a press pass.
I think everybody, well, maybe certainly not everybody, but I think most people have the capacity. I think that is the way the world should be going, is most people should be journalists. Most people should have that kind of mind.
Because at the end of the day, all journalism is asking questions and reporting matters of public concern to the public.
Yeah, investigating based on facts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the problem is, and not to go off on a political rant, although this is a political show, is, I mean,
come on.
The whole, well,
go ahead. No, sorry. Go.
Sometimes it is, but the problem with a lot of media is a lot of the news, so to speak, is entertainment. News and entertainment now are, and I mean, I hate to say this, but like, even with this shooting that has happened, in Texas, I'm almost hesitant to really cover it, because already we're seeing the exact same things that happen every time a shooting happens.
Specifically about this recent shooting, have you seen the story of the Border Patrol guy that got tired of waiting and went in?
Yeah, the off-duty guy, guy that took a bullet across the scalp. Yeah. Yeah,
that dude is like a fucking hero.
He's the one that killed the shooter, or did he?
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
Killed or wounded.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think. Yeah, I don't. You brought up Uvalde, and I had something, but go ahead, Sammy.
My whole problem, and I've said this. I feel like I say this for every shooting, but I say it because it's true. Now we're gonna go through the whole rigmarole of, well, we need more gun restrictions. We need to get rid of guns. If this guy hadn't had a gun, then this wouldn't have happened. And
they should be very careful on this one, because that Border Patrol agent was using his barber's shotgun. That's the weapon he used to go in to get the guy.
Yeah, And not to mention, there's some weird shit about this kid who somehow managed, who claimed in his manifesto or whatever to have been bullied for being poor, but he had a fucking $40,000 truck and $5,000 worth of gear. Two Daniel Defense rifles that are not sold anywhere near him,
Yeah.
which would have taken weeks. And I've seen, I don't know how true this is because I'm not a journalist. I'm a lazy shit poster that likes to laugh at this stuff. But I saw a lot of postings, specifically on Twitter, about the two most recent shooters being in the same Discord. The furry kid, and then this most recent one.
You talking about the Buffalo shooter?
Yes. Yeah,
the Buffalo shooter, they're investigating. There was an actual retired Fed in that Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's from what I've seen, it appears that this new guy was also in that Discord. Perhaps.
Oh, imagine that.
Well,
Could
yeah.
you imagine?
That's another reason why I'm not touching it, and I think it's probably why Sam's not touching it too. Is because at this point I'm just waiting to feel it out because I don't know. I don't want to end up in an Alex Jones situation where I'm getting sued for jumping the gun.
Exactly, and exactly. I mean, Genius, you just basically read my mind. Apex and I were just. I don't know if it was you I was talking about this with Apex, but I was talking with someone and we were talking about how everyone wants to sensationalize all these shootings that happen in Buffalo and this one, but no one wants to talk about Vegas to this day.
That fell off the face of the earth within 24 hours.
No, I mean legitimately within a week. For real, from the time the largest mass shooting in the U.S.'s history, right?
I believe so.
I believe so too.
Also,
just literally.
In one of the most surveilled cities in the country too.
Yeah, it happened at a fucking casino.
This nigga pulled off an 800-pound storm window from a casino. On the whatever floor, way up in the goddamn air.
And to this day, there's never been a manifesto or a motive release at all. I was reading an article on the this past anniversary where they're the headline was still no motive for the Las Vegas shooting. I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah, I'm of the mind it was some arms deal gone wrong. Or something.
I've heard that theory. That kind of seems like it holds water. There's also the whole it was a Fed thing that holds water.
Well, again, for sure I can see
if the Feds are involved with it and there's still no motive released out of it, I have to say that those Feds are fucking useless because it's like the Ricky Gervais joke. Come on, make something up.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me.
Well, I mean, our Apex, our good friend Johnny Arcade, who was in chat, by the way.
Hi, Johnny.
He was earlier. I know. Before it was covering the whole thing with Owen. He was covering Vegas. He was doing independent investigative journalism. Trying to figure out what.
Mr. Arcade is a very astute young man. For sure.
yeah, he is. Although, if he were to,
don't counter that. He's a Zoomer. He's a very young man, very wise for his age. All right.
When to go through puberty.
He's certainly not a gray bearded old fucker, curmudgeon, but he was also very smart and very good at digging.
Indeed, he is a young whippersnapper. So.
That's right, little fucking whippersnapper. Holy shit! I'm sorry if you guys already talked about this, but I actually had a legitimate question for Sammy, and I do have the same. Since you're here, Mr. Anus, I'm sorry to keep calling you that, but it's just natural. Uh, the whole Portugal thing, you guys laughed at it just as much as I did, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, still laughing
But
about it.
yeah, I have to. Do you guys not take any umbrage with the fact that Cog brought that much bigger dude with him to essentially fight Ethan Ralph for him?
Uh, Not entirely, and it's because I don't think that Cog was actually legitimately intending to like jump Ralph. I think he brought backup with him because he was just going to A-log him a little bit, and he knew Ralph's attitude. But I have also seen the clip on stream where he basically says that's the whole reason he's on there is just he's got a
Right.
mate that will jump Ethan Ralph for him.
Right.
So I don't necessarily take umbrage with it because I don't know Cog's mind. I can't read his mind to know whether he was just shit posting or not. But especially with the way, like, if that was what was going to happen, then the best thing Ralph could have done is let it happen, and then he'd probably have pulled a win out of this.
Well, hold on. Before you answer, Sammy, because I will forget this. Literally right before Ralph walks around the corner and certainly violates Cog's space, and engages in the fight. I mean, he certainly does that. Cog says, he's reading chat, he says, press him. No, mate, we're still too public. Which, to me, certainly implies that they're trying to, find a place less public to press him. And he's got this big fucking gorilla, short gorilla, mind you, with him.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, as an objective observer, it's all funny to me. But
Yeah.
when I'm asked these questions, or when I really think about it, I can't help but look at it as I don't even want to say it out loud, but I almost felt bad for Ralph at a certain point in time. Because
even if I believe 100% that Cog and Dan went there specifically to jump him in the alley, there's no way I would feel bad for Ralph.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's fair too. And I said I almost did.
Yeah.
To be fair, but again,
you almost did, like Amber Heard almost cried.
Yeah. Or she almost, whatever.
Well, and that was actually going to be my question because I did not catch the the whole Cog stream live when that happened, and from what I've been able to see, I mean, I've only been able to find clips of it, and I'm subscribed to his channel, which is weird. So, did he?
Well, he deleted it right away.
Okay, and then because I've only seen like some clips of it, I guess. But so like what? So like I guess my question is everyone else's question, which is why did Cog go there? Was it to fuck with Ralph or?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing too, and I can kind of unpack this a little bit more as far as my thinking. I do not believe in thought crime. So yeah, Cog said that he was the one there specifically to jump Ralph with Dan and everything, and yeah, maybe he said that we need to we're going to wait till we're less public to press him. But again, with objective reality on how it's told, I can't judge Cog for something that clearly didn't happen. So again, maybe if Ralph hadn't have instigated the fight and became the aggressor, and they did kind of wait for like a side alley or something and then jump Ralph, then I would be 100% opposite for sure. But I feel like even with what Cog said on both of those separate streams, I feel like that would probably be trying to hold Cog accountable for a thought crime as opposed to an actual crime.
Okay, well, I mean, it seems like you're trying to. I mean, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I'm not trying to like pin you in one place or the other, because I certainly don't. I have I'm on the fence about it. All of the things that happened are funny and in some cases justified. But
yes,
I can also, but my mind Ralph being 5'1" and a fat fucking loser would not require backup, except for potentially a cameraman. If you were gonna go and fuck with him, you could stand there. You could fucking talk shit right to his face and have a cameraman stand off and get good footage of it. Instead,
Yeah.
he brought a big man. He brought a bigger man than him, and probably somebody that fights people in regularly. I mean, that's speculation, of course, but that's also pretty. That's also pretty fucking gay to me. Now, the result does not make anything that happened less funny, and I don't enjoy it any less. But breaking it down from my perspective, it's kind of a bitch move on Cog's part, kind of.
Okay, well, from my perspective, and I will admit that this is partially coming from the perspective of a cripple, is if I was going to like confront Ethan Ralph or something, even as a journalist or something, I would bring a friend of mine, and I do have friends like this who are big, who are basically, they're gorillas for all intents and purposes.
Sure.
Basically, just to make sure that Rage Pig doesn't try and, fucking attack me, because he does seem, as we've seen, he does seem like the short-tempered type. So,
he also seems like the type to yell for the fucking police as soon as he gets hits in the face.
Oh yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I mean, there's
I
a
guess
lot of
my thing is, like, we can, like, I agree with you. It definitely seems like that was Cog's plan and intention, but I guess my biggest impasse on that is that clearly shit did not go according to plan, and it became like he almost had to adapt to the situation he was handed. So
Sure.
I don't know. I'm kind of like you. I'm on the fence.
Yeah, well, right, and that's kind of why I bring it up, because I see too much. It sort of bothers me a little bit, to be honest with you. The groupthink that's sort of happening in the A-log, quote unquote, community, where it's a lot of it's funny, but most of it's funny. But I don't see it doesn't seem like it used to be. Where everyone was free to be made fun of for all of their flaws, and it's becoming factioned in certain ways, and maybe that's my perception, and maybe I should log the fuck off the internet for a little bit.
No,
but
you and I kind of have the same perspective, Apex, and I mean, this is kind of the point that I was bringing up, a few weeks ago, is it seemed like, even from like a few years ago, people could kind of like have their beefs online and, disagree with, shit, but it wasn't like, well, I'm gonna fucking ruin your life because you don't like who I like.
The tribalism has always been kind of stupid as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, the tribalism, and then the life ruination shit too.
Like, I like Vickers. I'm not going to go out and ruin somebody's life just because they are the opposite. They are the enemy.
Right.
And kind of running back to your other point, in purely internet terms, from this, like, the general rules of this corner of the internet, I do agree that bringing the big monster that is Dan is bitch made in purely internet terms.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sammy. Go ahead.
Vickers kind of brings up this point, which I agree with, which is,
I want to respond to, by the way.
Which he says, I bring a gun in case of trouble. Cog brings a Dan. No difference unless the intent is looking for an excuse to use a gun or a Dan.
Well, right. Okay, so I would argue, which is a good point, but I would argue if Mr. Vickers had ever had to use that gun that he thought to bring in case of trouble, quote unquote, to whatever place he was going for whatever reason, and he used it and either hurt or killed somebody, he would also have to answer to that. Now, would he not? There would be legal,
sure.
There would be questions. People would have questions. Now, there is not a court of law for the internet. There's just us fucking retards talking shit. Now, I am just asking that question. Was the bringing of Dan to this confrontation justified? Was Cog in any real danger without Dan? If we want to talk about it like a firearms charge.
I mean, I guess that's the $1 million question, Apex, and that's why I was saying, me as a cripple, I would definitely bring in Dan, because look, I'm under
Cog is not crippled.
Right.
There's a galaxy of difference between the two comparisons. Now, I could understand you. I could understand women going to confront Ethan Ralph with a bodyguard or someone, to fill whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see someone who's at the top of their sector bringing multiple camera people when they go to Portugal, who could effectively be backup if you got supposedly jumped in the streets of Portugal again. But I just think that, for me, objectively, it's fucking bullshit. I think Cog is cashing in. He's doing what the likes of Mr. Genius here won't do in his particular sector, extrapolated to the world of the IBS thing that Cog has been in a long time. So I'm not taking away from what he did or the effect that it had. I just am having the deeper conversation about the social implications.
I mean, I don't necessarily think that either one of them were in the right, for sure.
Right.
And that's not even just based on the flying to Lisbon to fuck up Ethan Ralph. That's just, I don't think Cog should have went to interact with Ralph at all, because
sure.
It's all fun at games to point and laugh and stream and dunk on Ralph and dunk on Ralph's tweets and all that shit. But when you bring this shit into the real world, you have to kind of play it by the real world thing. So do I think either one of them were in the right or wrong? Hell no.
Well, and that's my overall point. Mr. Anus is, which
it does sound good.
Please, fellas, leave the Mister out of it. Just call me Anus.
Well, all right, asshole.
Thank you.
You asked for it. No, but in all seriousness, though, I think that's my point. That's my point. Is it's one thing to point and laugh at me. It's one thing to point and laugh at Ralph or whatever. It's another thing to actually show up to someone's.
Oh, actually, and I was thinking about it in my head, and I've basically just destroyed my own argument too. in this specific instance, what I just said is null and void, because Ralph has literally said that bifurcation is on the table, everything is okay. So if I'm a believer in treat others the way you want to be treated and, go drill and shit like that. But Ralph has literally asked for this. So that adds another level into it for me as well to consider. Ralph has said this shit's okay.
Well, I mean, that is fair. But I'm also of the mind to not let fucking fat retards on the internet dictate my morals for me and tell me what's okay.
And I completely agree with that too.
And making fun of them, So I still have my own standards, and Ralph can say whatever the fuck he wants, and everybody else can do whatever they want. I'll probably laugh at that too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, if we're real talk, just on a genuine, all internet shit aside, what Cog did was stupid, probably highly illegal. What Ralph did was stupid and almost definitely illegal. And if you break it down to just very, very basic fact sets, yes. But I'm also trying to cover this within the realm of what we're talking about, which is this corner of the internet and the personalities that reside in it. So,
sure.
Yeah.
And I, again, am just doing what I try to do and just derail the fuck out of, the things that are going on.
I mean, you're doing a good job because it's been a very intellectually stimulating conversation that's made me have to really kind of think about my views on it. So you've succeeded.
Well, good. I mean, and again, I mean, everyone deserves their own position. The quote unquote, as the retard leftists call it, their own truth sort of thing. I don't go that far, but everyone certainly has their own perspective, and I'm certainly not smart enough to tell anybody what they should think. All I can do is try my best to articulate what I think, and and at best hope it does something like that. Maybe it's in the negative, maybe it's in the positive, maybe it's somewhere in between, but just think differently than however you had previously. And and I don't do a very good job most of the time because I'm usually drunk, but I'm trying.
I mean, and at nothing else, I think the lesson to be learned from this entire situation is don't bring a purse to a fist fight.
Yeah. No, honestly, I'm proud of Ralph for getting his purse out this time. Honestly, I'm so proud of him for getting that literal woman's purse out of this altercation. He clung to that. Every bit of footage I saw with that purse, he had a death grip on that fucking thing.
what I want to know is, since I wasn't able to actually see the footages, how fucked up did his face get this time?
Well, that's one of the other things that actually struck me is like there was like several little scuffles, and Cog doesn't do a super great job of camera work because there's a bunch of shit going on. I can forgive him for that for sure. But the first time it seems like Ralph just gets kind of spun around and put on his ass, and then he stands back up, and the most famous footage is, he gets put down on his back/hip, and he's like grounded pound, like his head's bouncing off the fucking street, the not paved, the cobblestone streets of Portugal, Lisbon. And within like 4 or 5 punches or so, he has got a big old fucking like ruby spot on his cheek, and he's like bleeding from a couple of places. They didn't even look like that hard of punches, to be honest with you, which tells me that is not pigskin. So we may need to reevaluate that too. He may not actually be a pig.
They didn't look like hard punches, but they definitely sounded like hard punches, because if you really listen to it, you can hear that.
Fucking thwack. Yeah, fucking thwack. Yeah, Batman sound effects.
Well, the other thing too, that like the NIL, I can't speak today. The NIL.
Come on, Andy.
Today. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Now listen. Don Kenny Jones.
No, listen, folks.
It's about the principles of the matter.
I'm a reptile specialist. It's about the principles of the matter.
The snake really eats its own tail if you had the principles of the matter.
Genius, I was the Discord therapist of the Zero Tact server for its short life. There towards the end. I don't know if you remember that or if you were there for that, but there was a lot of big names in there, including Kenny Jones. I talked to him a few times. He's a
Kenny Jones is a really big name. He was actually my first bit of journalism in this sector when I investigated him and Margaret.
Yeah, what's funny is he would come into almost every VC.
Mm-hmm.
And given a chance to talk, he would bring Margaret up every single fucking time.
That's how I found him.
Time. Yeah,
that's how I found him.
what a goofball! What a goofball!
And believe me, I have had I think I probably still to this day, and me and Vickers have talked consistently since initial contact. I think I still today have more message logs with Kenny Jones than I do with Vickers, and that's sad.
Kenny's a good boy. He's just a little.
He's
misunderstood. He's misunderstood, really.
He's a little slow, and listen, I can say that.
He's a scientist.
Please, somebody clip that for me. Sam Whitfield going, he's a little slow.
Hell yeah, dude.
Clip that and send it to me, and I'll find out what Kenny Jones' Twitter handle is these days and send it to him every day.
He's probably still on Discord somewhere.
Yeah, I ran across him in Falco's server. He jumped into the VC one night and was talking to me, catching up.
Oh, hell yeah.
So a mental cripple versus a physical cripple blood sports match? Hell yeah.
I'd watch it.
It would take 6.5 fucking hours, but we could probably do it.
Yeah, all you got to do if you really want the IBS match with Kenny is just say that Margaret was always right and that he's just a stalker and a serial killer.
Yep. That's literally all you would have to say, which again would probably take about 35 minutes for Sammy to get out.
Probably. That was a trip. Like, I don't know if either of y'all have read the article I wrote on Margaret and Kenny. I got into some pretty deep shit with that. Like, when I eventually just cut bait, I ran across some acquaintances of Margaret herself and then one of her close acquaintances that she'd worked with. Hey, Margaret has a long history. She came up with the Killstream name for Ralph. She was part of the Gamergate Slack conversations with Ralph and was doing like their weird gay op shit back then with them. But she had an acquaintance that had a company. And this is and she also worked with Milo Yiannopoulos on the privilege grant. And as I dug deeper and deeper into that, I discovered that she had someone that she worked with that was either owned, founded, or worked for a company that really seemed to be like a black PR firm that they would go out and do SEO manipulation and shit like that to do black PR against public figures and shit.
Oh, so wait, so you're telling me that the Margaret that worked with Milo on the privilege account is the same Margaret that...
Yes.
Ooh, Lord.
Oh, okay.
And also when the privilege grant was being smeared in the media as being a fraud, the only source that any of the articles that ever talked about that had was Margaret McLennan. She was the treasurer of it. She was second in line to Milo in the hierarchy. Nobody ever questioned her. As far as I know, there's never been a single other source as to saying that the privilege grant was fraudulent. And Margaret walked away scotch-free and was never really pressed on if she was the treasurer, how did she not know or was not involved in the treasury being fraudulent? And I checked up on that like a year or two after it had happened, and they were finally there was like delays and stuff, but the people that seemed to get the scholarship all got the scholarship paid out just fine. So it doesn't seem it was even fraudulent to begin with.
No, and also if you kind of want to add this to your lore too, I do know that there were a few people from I don't want to say that Breitbart was like officially like sponsoring the grant as a company, but I do know that there were a couple of journalists that were like that wrote there that, you know, contributed to that like individually.
Yeah.
For, you know, for the fun.
The way it seemed to me, and again, I eventually hit a bunch of brick walls because the deeper and deeper I got into it, the harder it was to get people to talk to me. Like the chick that was associated with Margaret, I never got established communication with. She just completely ghosted and everything. And now her Twitter is still up, her original Twitter, but she's changed her name on it. That company no longer exists. It used to be in her Twitter bio, and now I think she's like setting up floating cities in Dubai where they make like sandbars out in the ocean and then build floating cities on it or whatever. But her last name was like Niedermeyer or something.
Uh-huh.
And she worked for this company that there was a politball that Margaret did in Canada. and this company was one of the corporate sponsors of it. Her and Margaret had worked together. Margaret herself does SEO work and everything. And it's just, the more I tugged on it, the more I was just like, I'm getting into some fucking pretty deep shit.
Well, and that's why I would say, like, politics and, and politics in this sector, as you want to call it, really are not that far apart, because, like, just a few years ago, I was kind of like in the turning point, Young Americans for Liberty sector, and so, like, I knew of Milo a little bit from Gamergate, but also because of the dangerous faggot whore and all that during, which
I love that. It's still good, man.
That'll still never not.
His brand recognition was fucking phenomenal.
Oh, it still is, man. Even still, again. I'm gonna take a Vickers break.
Yes, it's catching on. I love it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know. I mean, the thing about Milo is, like, I actually was a legit fan back in the day, because, like, I knew what he was doing was 90% of, like, a troll, right? But I mean, he was a troll, but he also was a legit journalist, as far as, like,
his Ghostbusters review was probably the most on point review I'd ever read of that movie.
Easily. But that's also what got him kicked off Twitter and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the people who, really inspired me to get into this whole sphere, because I kind of consider myself somewhat of a journalist too, is the late Andrew Breitbart, and I have to wonder. I actually know someone, as does Apex. We both know someone who knew Andrew very well, and I have to wonder if Andrew Breitbart were still around today, like, what he would think of, like, the Ethan Ralphs of the world and whatnot, because this whole thing definitely seems to be, like, in his wheelhouse, so to speak. So,
yeah, with go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, I think it's really funny that the likes of Nick Fuentes and, to a lesser extent, Ethan Ralph are getting pseudo mainstream attention. With the cum hunters shit and the, sex with women is gay with Fuentes. It's that is pretty entertaining. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, man.
Well, it is part of the whole, and part of the whole thing with that is, like, so I've tried to explain this whole sector of the internet to, like, my normal friends, and I've basically explained it to them as, think of reality television, but instead of it being scripted, it's real.
Yeah, real, quote unquote.
Right.
Yeah, like wrestling in some cases. Some of it is actually real, but
right.
It used to be so people would coordinate this shit. Like, they'd talk behind the scenes, and
it's more like reality TV, where the fakeness is what people were trying to do, but they use the realness to get as a means to an ends, really.
Right. But it's definitely not. It's definitely not. Although I feel like, I was gonna say it's not like the Kardashians, but I feel like Ralph has turned into such a drama queen that he could be one of the Kardashians at this point.
So I don't know enough about the Kardashians to be able to comment on that.
Nor do I, fucking nerd, Sammy. Jeez. A shitty cultural reference there, Sam. Can't even back it up. Come on.
I think the only thing I know about the Kardashians is that there was this meme video that went around one time where somebody put a picture of one of the Kardashians on their Keurig, and it looked like she was shitting into the coffee cup, and that's the beginning, middle, and end of my knowledge of the Kardashians.
Nice. I think one of them's name is Kim.
Yeah.
I think one of them ran over somebody and then changed genders to get away from it.
Yeah, there's a couple snippets I've got locked up for some reason.
Oh, that was that was Bruce Jenner. He
I know. Thanks, South Park. Culturally relevant.
Dude, South Park still fucking rules, man. This most recent season, I think I mentioned this when Vickers came on your show, Sammy. But this most recent season, that they bring up, I don't know if it's the first episode or the second episode, but they bring up Token, who's been in this show forever. Token, he's the black kid, right? He's the token black character. But it turns out that his name is Tolkien, like J.R.R. Tolkien, because Token's dad is a big fan. He's like a big black nerd, right? So Stan, like, the whole episode, yeah, exactly. The whole episode is Stan having like a panic attack because everyone knew that Token's name was Tolkien. It's just pronounced Token. So he's like dealing with his like whatever, like racism,
internalized racism.
Yeah, internalized racism. Yeah, I thought it was so funny. I mean, for some reason, this season only has like 5 episodes, but
yeah,
most of them are good.
I haven't watched South Park since PC Principal came into it, and he's like, "Yeah, crush your pussy, bro."
Bro, see now, look, I've heard a lot of people say that, and I skipped out on watching that stuff. That era of South Park, watching it live, I didn't really watch anything for a long time, other than the internet. And I went back and I like restarted it, whatever, like season 15 or 12, whatever it was, that I had seen and watched them all. And PC Principal, in retrospect, is fucking hilarious. That whole woke angle that they took, and Garrison as Trump.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good, man. It's so good. It's very
like, I didn't stop watching South Park because I found it unfunny. I just moved on to other shit. But I remember that. And then my favorite episode of all of that was where Randy turned out to be Lord. He's like, I am God. Lord. Yeah.
Yeah. That's around when I stopped watching it live. And that is, dude, look, it does become a different kind of funny, I suppose, but I still love it.
Yeah.
I have a Christmas tradition of watching the Woodland Critters Christmas.
Blood orgy.
Hail Satan!
What's funny too is that, like, the whole thing with Garrison being Trump is part of that was during the whole election season when that happened. So no,
and that's why, right?
So no one knew actually what the fuck was going to happen.
Well, no, and I think part of the reason, at least the people that I've met, or that I know IRL, that quit watching it, they quit watching it because that shit was so divisive. The whole Trump-Hillary thing, and then even Trump's presidency, as you and almost certainly everybody listening knows, the division that created amongst people for stupid fucking reasons. But yeah, like South Park was doing what they always did, and they were kind of at the razor's edge of making fun of a lot of this shit. And again, the way they portray Garrison as Trump is hilariously accurate in like the South Park universe. Garrison is fucking perfect. And the whole weed angle, Randy moving the family to a weed farm it becomes Tegrity Farms. That's what it is.
And where they converted Kenny's rundown segment of the town to like a fucking all foods and hipster.
Yeah.
Well, and then the fact they also, I don't know if any of you guys have seen the COVID-19 special, but
I have not either.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like only on Paramount Plus, right?
Yeah. Well, it's also on South Park Studios.
Oh, okay,
So
which is free and always
I
has been.
I don't want to. So I don't want to
Yeah, don't spoil
spoil.
it. Yeah, don't spoil it. But
Um,
it's good. You recommending we watch it? Is what you're saying,
yeah,
right?
yeah, it's because there are let me put it this way. There are breadcrumbs that they set up like in the thing with the weed farm that pay off
Oh, okay,
in
okay.
that
I love that shit, dude.
special. That's all
South
I'll
Park actually
say.
does a really good job of keeping their canon straight.
Yeah, I mean, they made a
For
fucking video game based on a town that like didn't exist and made sense out of it, or made a couple
yep,
video games, I guess.
and if you watch the dev diaries of them coming up with like what that video game was the first time they actually had to map out the whole town and
Right?
how it
Yeah.
all connects together. That was fucking interesting as shit. How they
Exactly.
like Matt and
And
Trey are like,
creative.
where the fuck is this?
Yeah,
Like we use
exactly.
this all the time, but where the fuck is it in the town?
Right. Yeah. Having to lay it all out. Speaking of popular culture, we need to be wrapping this shit up pretty soon, I imagine. I know I do because I have to work in the morning.
Yeah,
But I recently, well, just quickly brushing by Fringe, an old show which I very much enjoyed. Except for the last season, it should have ended a season earlier. But even the last
agreed.
season's fine. It's good. It's really good. I enjoyed it.
It's
But
kind of like a modern version of X Files, and it's really
That's
good.
exactly it's exactly what I thought as I was watching it throughout. But over the last several years, prior to this one, watched every season of Stranger Things with my ex. Like she really liked that show, and it was something we could sit down and do. I didn't really hate the show. There's a couple of seasons, especially in the middle there, that I forgettable. But I watched the first half of the newest season, and I really it's really good. If you guys, I don't know if you guys have watched it or I know I've talked to a few people that have actively avoided it because of hype and shit. But if you can
I
watch it
watched the
objectively,
first season, but I haven't watched anything past that.
I feel like because they're on the fourth season now, and they only apparently there's two halves, so they've released the first half. The second half will come in a few weeks. But the Duffy brothers, I don't know their first names, but they're responsible for all the writing and a lot of the directing. And I know for sure the third season was like, God damn it, dude, what the fuck is this show anymore? I haven't
Yeah,
rewatched it, but when I watched it the first time through, I was like, God damn, like I remember falling asleep through a lot of it, and getting yelled at. but this season the way they bring it all back around, the kids are a lot older, but it's good. I really I liked it. Sammy, have you watched it yet, or do you even care to watch it?
I watched the first season and part of season two. Season three I heard was a complete mess, so I just avoided it
I think you
entirely.
could. I think you could skip it. Actually, honestly, you could
Yeah,
watch season one, and then watch season four. You could probably do that. You're gonna miss a handful of things, but if you can stomach it, it's something to fucking watch. If you
well,
you know,
I've watched season two as well. So
yeah, well, yeah. Honestly, it does kind of feel like in this one they obviously clearly the shit is all happening linearly, so season three has happened, but it doesn't seem like they call back to very much of it. There's like the Demigorgon callback and just like the upside, it's pretty loose, so
yeah,
it doesn't seem like you need every little detail of every season. I think you could go season one to season four and be just fine. Certainly skip season three though, if you
yeah,
Yeah, because isn't season 2 and 3 mostly dealing with like new characters?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Two brings in the new characters, and the only real important detail of season three is a cliffhanger with one of the characters that is kind of a major plot point in this new season. But again, you can kind of a reasonable mind can infer kind of what's happened, but there's a lot of nuance there. They they certainly put in the effort in the writing. It's just season 3 was just kind of
all over
I don't
the
know.
place.
Maybe in the grand scheme of things, once it's all said and done, it'll be one of those, oh shit, now it makes sense kind of thing. It's like a total package. You have to, because it is it's a complete story. I think
Maybe they can pull with J.K. Rowling where they're able to tie it all up in the final season, where everything that seemed insignificant kind of ties all together in a nice bow.
that's actually what it seems like, which is why I think it's worth watching, because at season 3 it seemed like they were jumping the shark, kind of like none of this shit mattered. Like Russians were involved, and all the a lot, actually the major plot points of the movie were dealing with Russians. But now again it's all coming back around.
Did somebody raise their fist up in the air and say Wolverines?
No. Well, maybe I don't remember, but yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I was surprised. I watched it out of habit. I saw it pop up on my fucking Netflix timeline that's not mine.
The last Netflix show I watched was Squid Games, and I binged that shit in like one night.
I just finished binge watching the Jack Reacher series on Amazon Prime.
That's on my list. I need to watch. Apparently, it's really, really good.
Yeah, it's really good. It's better than the Tom Cruise movie.
That's what I've been hearing.
And then there's another series on Amazon coming out called The Terminal List, which is based off of a series of novels that I'm a big fan of. So
right now, I'm waiting for the new season of The Boys to come out so that I can binge watch through seasons 1 and 2 again, plus that diabolical cartoon, and then go immediately into season 3 fresh, because The Boys are fucking awesome.
Yeah. Although the show is way different than the graphic novel, and
they always are.
But not in a Walking Dead way. They did a really good job of adapting source material to it.
Well, yeah, but then there are other aspects of the graphic novel that they couldn't adapt, and rightly so.
My biggest complaint in season 1 was just that terror wasn't in it. Like that was the only thing I could really truly complain about that they fucked up from the graphic novel, was that it took so long to get terror into the picture.
Yeah, and even when he does show up, he doesn't play an integral part like he does in the.
And
you need to do better, Senator.
You deserve better.
In the graphic novel.
Yeah.
So.
I love anything Garth Ennis. Like, one of my favorite Garth Ennis books is a series called Cross. And if you've never heard of it, just type into Google. You'll probably have to take moderate safe search off, because it is Garth Ennis. Cross covers. And just look at the cover art for these things. It's fucking phenomenal.
I'm a huge fan of Garth Ennis's run on The Punisher.
Yes.
So, but anyway, well, all this nerd talk must be boring poor Apex today.
Oh no, I'm still here. So. I just don't, I don't read or really watch anything. I just do drugs, and consume the internet, and work.
You're practically reading Garth Ennis then.
Yeah,
I do have to dip pretty quick, Sammy. I don't know if you're gonna keep going. You can't, which you're more than welcome to do. But.
No, I mean I think we've pretty much covered everything as far as main topics I want to cover. Other than that, I did see that you're on Twitter, Genius. But do you have like a blog or any website where you post any of your?
Yeah, you got any plugs, man?
Journalism.
I really don't have anything to plug at the moment. In the future, I might. I've got a defunct blog where I post a Kenny Jones article, and I guess I could tweet that out again. But I'm not really working on anything actively that's going to come out anytime soon.
All right. Well, if you ever do, feel free to come back, and we'd love to promote something for you. So.
Oh yeah, I'm game to come back just whenever you want me to. I love this shit.
Yeah,
man.
anytime, man. So, well, thanks for coming on, and folks, you can find GeniusAnus on Twitter at GeniusAnus.
Is it Genius_Anus or is it all one word?
I believe it's
You don't know,
Genius,
nigga?
and then dude, I set this up a long time ago.
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
But if you search GeniusAnus or the hashtag Guntgate, you'll find me.
And real quick before we go, I believe that we got another. I believe that we got another super chat. So we got the one. We got the one earlier from Mr. Vickers, but I do want to make sure that we get all of them. So.
Yeah, because I'm a man of my word. If it's over $5, I have to read it.
And knowing Vickers, since he is my employer, according to the
he is paying you.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? What does that translate to?
By the way, Akaba has my Twitter tag in chat. It's one word, GeniusAnus.
Nice.
I knew Akaba was useful for something.
Well, Akaba's a good boy. Akaba's a good boy. I invited him on to do a stream in the future, and he was like, "Wait, why do you want me on?" Which
looks like we got a Wings of Redemption in chat. We can holler all night, Akaba.
All right. Well, I would like to thank you, Genius, for coming on the show. I do appreciate it. It was actually I'm sorry I wasn't here for the whole thing, but I enjoyed the conversation that I was able to have with you, and I do look forward to potentially doing it again. And Sammy, as always, you crippled bastard, I love you. You handsome bitch. Thank you again for having me. As always, get your finger out of your nose, boy.
All righty. Glad to have you on, and we don't have any other super chats except for Mr. Vickers. We do have a few more subscribers though, so thank you to everyone who subscribed, and thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you on the next show next week. So take care and have a good evening, everyone.
Later.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to The Whitfield Report on the NGC Network. Please visit Sam's website at www.thesamwhitfield.com and support Sam on Patreon at patreon.com/Whitfield Report. Until next time, God bless, God save this great nation, and God, freedom, legacy, in that order.